The world was still adjusting to the idea that Earth wasn't the only planet in the vast universe. Humans had recently made contact with several alien species, but none had been quite as spectacular as the Xantharian Empire. It wasn't just their advanced technology or incredible starships that caught the attention of Earth's leaders. It was their princess, Lysara. She arrived in a ship so sleek and elegant that it seemed to glide through the atmosphere, as if it were part of the sky itself. The moment it landed on Earth's surface, in a field near the United Nations headquarters, it became clear this wasn't a typical diplomatic visit. As the doors of the ship opened, a bright light shone from within, and out stepped Princess Lysara. She was tall, her skin shimmering with an otherworldly glow, and her eyes, two bright, radiant orbs, captivated everyone who gazed at her. She didn't wear a crown like one might expect, but a silver circlet that sat gently on her forehead, and her attire was simple but elegant, made of flowing material that seemed to change colors as she moved. She was nothing like the diplomats Earth had met before. The moment she stepped onto Earth, all eyes were on her. Thousands of cameras flashed, and reporters rushed to capture the moment. But Lysara didn't speak right away. Instead, she looked around at the gathered crowd, her expression warm but mysterious. After a brief pause, she finally raised her hand, signaling for silence. The world held its breath. "I have come to speak of a truth that I have learned, something that will shock you all." Lysara's voice rang out clearly, amplified by the technology in the ship. For a moment, the crowd waited in suspense. What could this alien princess have to say? She smiled softly, and then, without warning, declared, "Human males are, without a doubt, the most irresistible beings I have ever encountered." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, nobody knew how to react. The entire world seemed to freeze. Some people looked confused, others laughed nervously, but many couldn't hide their surprise. What did she mean? Was she joking? The alien princess continued, her tone serious. "It is not simply their appearance that captivates us. It is something deeper, something that cannot be found in any other species across the galaxy. The way you carry yourselves, your strength in adversity, your determination, it is something that Xantharians cannot help but admire." The crowd, though still shocked, now listened intently. Lysara's words had a certain weight to them, a sincerity that caught everyone's attention. She had not come to Earth as a conqueror or a diplomat looking for power. No, she came to speak of something far more personal, a feeling she had experienced when she first encountered human males during her empire's initial study of Earth. It was a strange, inexplicable sensation, one that was impossible for her people to ignore. Lysara was known for her intelligence and grace, but this declaration painted her in a completely new light. As her words echoed through the speakers, a silence fell over the crowd. People exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what to think. Was this a compliment? Was it some sort of alien cultural misunderstanding? A reporter stepped forward, microphone in hand, unable to hold back their curiosity. "Princess Lysara," the reporter asked, their voice tinged with disbelief, "what exactly do you mean by this? Are you suggesting that human males are special in some way?" Lysara nodded, her expression softening. "Yes," she said, her voice calm and measured. "I am suggesting that human males possess something unique, a quality that no other species in the galaxy has managed to replicate. It is not simply physical, though your appearance is captivating in its own right. It is more about your spirit, your resilience, your ability to overcome challenges. There is an energy in human males that draws others to them. It is a force that cannot be ignored." The reporter hesitated before asking, "But why say this now? What does it mean for the future of Earth's relationship with the galaxy?" Lysara's eyes flickered, her gaze thoughtful. "Because the time has come for the galaxy to recognize humanity's place. You are not a mere curiosity anymore. You are a force to be reckoned with. And I, for one, believe that the human male will play a pivotal role in the future of interstellar relations." The crowd buzzed with excitement and confusion. Was this a declaration of some kind of alliance? Or was Lysara simply admiring Earth's diversity? Regardless of the true meaning behind her words, one thing was certain: this statement would change everything. As the day continued, the world's media outlets were flooded with discussions about the princess's words. Social media exploded with memes, questions, and debates. Some people were skeptical. Could this really be true? Others were curious, eager to learn more about this strange attraction. And some, particularly human males, were simply flattered. Lysara's visit had barely begun, but already the world had changed. Earth had just been thrust into a new spotlight, and its place in the galactic community would never be the same again. The world was buzzing. After Princess Lysara's unexpected declaration, Earth's top scientists and experts couldn't stop talking about the strange claim she made. How could a single species, a species that had only recently begun exploring space, be deemed irresistible by an entire alien empire? What did she mean by this? Was it just a cultural misunderstanding, or was there something deeper behind her words? At the heart of the scientific community, Dr. Ethan Cole, a well-known biologist, was asked to lead a team of researchers to investigate Lysara's claim. The media coverage was intense, and people from all corners of the world wanted answers. Were human males truly special? Were there scientific explanations for what the princess had said? Dr. Cole had always been the logical type. His studies had focused on human biology, genetics, and how humans compared to other life forms. But he'd never considered the idea that humans might have a special quality that could be admired across the galaxy. His first reaction to Lysara's statement had been disbelief, but as the days went by, he began to feel a nagging curiosity. There had to be something to it, right? "Dr. Cole, we need you to help us understand this," his assistant, Dr. Rachel Simmons, said one morning as they sat in their lab. "The princess is serious. It's all over the news, and we have to find out what she's seeing in us." Ethan nodded, running a hand through his hair. "I know, Rachel. But how can we measure something like this? What do we even look for?" They quickly gathered a team of experts from various fields: biologists, psychologists, sociologists, and even chemists. They worked tirelessly to explore every possibility. Could it be that human males had some form of pheromone or chemical signature that attracted aliens? Maybe it was a unique biological trait that made them stand out among the stars. As the research continued, the team discovered something unexpected. Human males, especially those from different backgrounds and environments, emitted a wide range of pheromones. It wasn't just one distinct smell, but a complex mix of scents tied to emotions, health, and personality. It was unlike anything found in the other species they had studied. Dr. Simmons was the first to suggest that the emotional state of a human could influence the pheromone mix, making it more unique and intriguing to others. "It's possible that when a human is happy, confident, or even determined, their pheromones change in ways we can't fully understand," she explained. "But we need more than just pheromones," Dr. Cole replied. "We need to figure out what makes these traits so attractive to other species. Could it be our behavior, our emotional depth, maybe the way we express ourselves?" To test this theory, they conducted a series of psychological experiments with volunteers. These volunteers, all human males, were asked to take part in different emotional exercises: moments of stress, happiness, and even moments of deep focus. The results were fascinating. Human males, when faced with challenges, didn't retreat or back down. Instead, they often exhibited remarkable levels of determination and creativity, solving problems that seemed impossible. They were adaptable, quick-thinking, and not easily discouraged. Ethan couldn't help but think back to his own experiences. It was true. Humans had a tendency to push through adversity. They fought against all odds, and it seemed as though this resilience was what set them apart. It was a quality that was seen not just in individuals, but as a collective trait of the human race. Meanwhile, Lysara, still at the United Nations headquarters, observed from a distance. She had stayed in touch with Earth scientists but remained mostly silent about the process. In private, she spoke to her trusted advisors about her experiences with humans, explaining that it wasn't just the physical appearance of human males that drew her in. It was their ability to inspire others, to lift up those around them, even in the toughest of times. There is something about their spirit, Lysara confided one evening, her eyes soft with admiration. I've seen their history. I've seen them fall and rise again, time after time. It is their courage, their relentless pursuit of survival, that draws me in. We Xantharians may have long lives and endless knowledge, but we lack the depth of emotion that humans have. That is what makes them irresistible. At the same time, Earth's media outlets continued to stir the pot. Public opinion was divided. Some were intrigued by the idea that humans were seen as special across the galaxy. They felt a sense of pride, as though they were finally being recognized by something greater than their planet. Others were skeptical. They questioned if this was just a fluke, a passing infatuation. Could it really be true that human males were different from every other species in the galaxy? As the weeks passed, the scientific community worked tirelessly to collect data, and one theory began to emerge. Human males, it seemed, embodied a combination of qualities that no other species could replicate. Their intelligence, adaptability, creativity, and emotional complexity made them unlike any other life form. These qualities, when combined with their physical traits, created an undeniable allure, not just for other humans, but for beings across the stars. For Lysara, it was clear. She had seen it firsthand. There was something about the human male that she couldn't ignore, something that was not just physical but emotional, something that made them magnetic. Ethan, though still unsure about the princess's words, began to understand. Maybe, just maybe, there was more to this than met the eye. As the world continued to search for answers, the question remained, what would this newfound attention mean for humanity? Would they accept their place in the galaxy as something special, or would they continue to question their worth? Whatever the answer, one thing was certain. The story of the irresistible human male had only just begun. As the weeks went by, the attention surrounding Princess Lysara's declaration grew. Her words echoed through the corridors of power not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. Earth was suddenly at the center of a whirlwind of attention, with humans, especially human males, becoming the subject of fascination in ways no one could have predicted. Despite the scientific community's growing understanding of what made human males so unique, not all were pleased by Lysara's admiration. The Xantharian princess's declaration sparked anger and jealousy in many alien leaders who felt threatened by the rise of a new, potentially powerful species. The Xantharian Empire was known for its peacekeeping efforts and its vast influence in galactic politics, but now there was an uncomfortable tension between them and several rival empires. In the halls of the United Nations, Earth's leaders were struggling to manage the complex situation. Diplomatic meetings were being held daily, and the atmosphere was tense. Earth's ambassadors had to navigate not only human concerns, but also the growing unrest among other alien species. In the middle of all this, Dr. Ethan Cole, the biologist who had been working closely with Lysara and the scientific team, found himself in a difficult position. He had once viewed the alien princess as just another visitor from a distant world, but now he had grown closer to her. Their conversations, once professional and scientific, had become more personal. There was an unspoken connection between them that neither could deny. One evening, after another round of media frenzy, Ethan found himself sitting in a quiet room at the United Nations, deep in thought. He had just finished reviewing the latest reports from his team. The data showed that humans were indeed unique in ways that hadn't been fully understood before. Yet the more he learned, the more complicated things became. "Ethan, are you okay?" Lysara's voice broke through his thoughts. She had entered the room quietly, her glowing eyes soft with concern. Ethan looked up, surprised. "Lysara, I didn't hear you come in." She smiled, her expression both kind and serious. You've been buried in your work for hours. I know this must be difficult for you." He sighed, leaning back in his chair. "It's not just the research, Lysera. It's everything. Your declaration about human males has shaken things up more than I think anyone expected. Now, people from all over the galaxy are questioning what this means for Earth's future. Some are excited, others are worried, and some, they're angry." Lysera nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "I know. The Syntherian Empire has always been a beacon of peace in the galaxy, but not everyone agrees with our approach. Many see your species as a threat. You're still new to the galactic stage, Ethan. It will take time for them to accept your place among us." "But why now?" Ethan asked, frustrated. "Why say these things about human males? Why not just focus on diplomacy, on trade, on peace? Why all the attention on us?" Lysera's gaze softened. She walked toward him, sitting down beside him. "It's not about making you into something you're not. It's about recognizing the truth. Human males possess something that no other species in the galaxy can claim. I've seen it. I've felt it. And I believe it's important for others to see it too." Ethan was quiet for a moment. "But do they even want to see it?" he asked. "Most of these alien leaders, they don't care about human qualities. They see us as insignificant, as just another species in a crowded galaxy." "That's why I came," Lysera said softly. "I want to help them understand. I believe the galaxy is ready for humanity. Your species is capable of more than anyone realizes. But first, you must prove it to them." Ethan shook his head. "How do we prove something like that?" Lysera placed a hand on his arm, her touch light, but reassuring. "By being yourselves. By showing the galaxy what you are capable of. The universe is full of incredible species, but none of them have the heart and spirit of humanity. That's something worth sharing." The conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert on Ethan's communicator. It was a message from the Syntherian High Council. His heart sank as he read the contents. The message was urgent, and the tone was sharp. The High Council had decided that it was time to convene a meeting of all the major galactic powers to address the growing concerns about humanity's influence. It wasn't just about the scientific findings or Lysera's admiration of human males. It was about Earth's potential to disrupt the delicate balance of power. Ethan's thoughts raced. What did this mean for Earth? Were they about to face a galactic tribunal? Was humanity going to be judged based on Lysera's words and the growing fascination with human males? "Lysera," Ethan said, his voice serious, "I think we're about to find out how the galaxy truly feels about humanity." Lysera's expression hardened as she read the message over his shoulder. She stood up, her eyes narrowing. "This is just the beginning. The other species will not be so easily swayed. But don't worry, Ethan. I will stand by you, and by Earth, no matter what happens." For the first time, Ethan felt a flicker of hope. But as he stared at the message, he couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was about to face its toughest challenge yet. The galaxy might be watching, but would it embrace humanity, or would Earth's place in the stars be threatened before it even had a chance to bloom? The day of the Galactic Summit had arrived, and the entire world was on edge. News stations around the globe were broadcasting live coverage of the most important diplomatic event in Earth's history. For the first time, representatives from nearly every major species in the galaxy would gather in one place to discuss humanity's future among the stars. At the United Nations headquarters, a grand hall had been prepared for the summit. Large screens displayed the logos of alien species, each one different, representing the diverse cultures that inhabited the galaxy. The air was thick with tension. Earth's leaders, scientists, and diplomats filled the seats, while Earth's most important figures, including Dr. Ethan Cole and Princess Lysera, stood at the front, ready to face the galaxy's judgment. As Lysera stood beside Ethan, she appeared calm and composed, though her eyes revealed the deep concern she was feeling. The Syntherian princess had known this meeting would be difficult. The other species had not yet accepted the idea that Earth, especially its human males, might play a significant role in the galaxy's future. Today, they would either embrace humanity or condemn them to isolation. Ethan couldn't help but feel a surge of anxiety as the doors to the summit hall opened. The alien delegates began to file in, each one more unique than the last. Some were humanoid, while others were entirely different in shape, size, and appearance. Their eyes gleamed with curiosity, distrust, and uncertainty. Among them were representatives from the Extrians, a species known for their intellectual prowess, the Voltorians, fierce and battle-hardened warriors, and the Xalorians, a peaceful species who valued diplomacy above all else. The first to speak was Chancellor Kaller, the head of the Voltorian delegation. His voice, deep and commanding, echoed across the room. "We are gathered today to address a matter of great importance," he began. "The Zintherian princess has made a bold claim about the humans. She says their males are irresistible. We must understand what this means. Are they a threat to our dominance in the galaxy, or are they simply a passing curiosity?" Ethan could feel the eyes of every alien delegate on him as he stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. Lysara placed a hand on his shoulder, offering silent encouragement. "I understand your concerns," Ethan began, his voice steady but unsure. "But I want to assure you that humanity has no desire for dominance. We are new to the galactic community, but we seek peace, knowledge, and collaboration. We have made incredible strides on our own planet, and we are ready to share that progress with all of you." The Extrians, led by their spokesperson, a tall and slender being named Tsora, leaned forward. "Humans may have made progress on your world, but the question remains, what do you bring to the galaxy that is truly unique? Many species have conquered their own planets. What makes you think your kind deserves a place among us?" Ethan looked to Lysara, who nodded encouragingly. It was clear that this summit would not be easy, but he had prepared for this moment. "What makes us different," he said, "is not just our technological advances. It's our spirit. Humanity has a remarkable ability to overcome challenges, to adapt, and to inspire others. We may not have the longevity or the vast knowledge of some other species, but we possess an unyielding will to thrive, even when faced with the most difficult of circumstances." The room grew silent, and Ethan could feel the weight of his words settling over the assembly. For the first time, the alien delegates seemed to listen intently. It wasn't just about physical power or knowledge. It was about the resilience of the human spirit. That was something no other species had truly experienced before. Keller, the Voltorian chancellor, raised an eyebrow. "Your spirit, you say? How can that be measured? How can you prove that your species' spirit is worthy of our trust?" Before Ethan could respond, Lysara spoke up, her voice clear and confident. "It cannot be measured by numbers or science alone," she said. "It is a force that can be felt, seen, and experienced. I have witnessed it in their actions, in their struggles, and in their ability to lift one another up in times of need. The human spirit is what makes them stand out, and it is something I believe the galaxy will come to understand in time." There was a pause, and for a moment, no one spoke. The other delegates exchanged looks, each one considering the princess's words. Ethan could feel the tension in the room, but he also sensed something else, an openness, a curiosity about what she had said. The idea of a species with a spirit that could not be measured, but only felt, was something new to them. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was something worth considering. Sora, the Xtrian representative, leaned back in their chair. "Your words are intriguing, Princess Lysara. And human males, you say, are a key part of this spirit." Lysara nodded. "Yes, I have seen it. There is something about them. A drive, a passion, that is not easily ignored. It is not about beauty or strength, but something deeper. It's their potential to change, to inspire, and to bring others together. That is what I believe makes them irresistible." The Voltorian chancellor, Keller, crossed his arms, his expression thoughtful. "We shall see, but this spirit you speak of will need to be proven. Actions speak louder than words. If humanity is to find its place in the galaxy, they must demonstrate that they are not just a passing curiosity. Ethan met Caller's gaze, determined. We will prove ourselves, not with our words, but with our actions. The summit continued long into the day, as debates and discussions unfolded. Some delegates were still skeptical of humanity's place in the galaxy, but there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. The idea of Earth's potential, of human males embodying something extraordinary, was beginning to take root. As the day ended, Lysera turned to Ethan, her face softening. We've made progress, she said. It's not much, but it's a start. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of hope he hadn't felt before. We have a long way to go, but I believe we can do it. I believe we can prove that humanity belongs here. The journey had only just begun. The galaxy might be watching, but humanity had shown that it was ready to stand tall, united in its pursuit of a place among the stars. The days following the galactic summit were filled with uncertainty. The atmosphere on Earth had shifted. The media buzzed with reports about the summit, and the question that loomed over every conversation was the same. What would happen next? Despite Lysera's passionate defense of humanity, not all alien species had been convinced. While some had left the summit with a new sense of curiosity about humanity's potential, others had remained skeptical. The Voltorians, in particular, were still wary, demanding that humanity prove itself before they could be accepted into the galactic community. And so, a new challenge was proposed, a trial to test humanity's resilience, adaptability, and worth. This trial, unlike anything humanity had faced before, was a test of both mental and physical strength. It would take place in a neutral zone, an isolated planet on the outskirts of the galaxy, far from Earth's reach. Each species that had attended the summit would send representatives to compete, and Earth's champions would be chosen by the leaders of the United Nations. For the first time, humanity was being asked to show what they were truly made of. The trial would not be easy, but it was an opportunity to prove that humanity's spirit was more than just a concept. It was a chance to demonstrate the very qualities that had drawn Lysera to Earth in the first place. Dr. Ethan Cole stood at the front of a crowded briefing room, his heart racing as he looked at the group of human volunteers. Among them was a mix of men and women, each one chosen for their unique abilities. They were athletes, soldiers, scientists, and engineers, people who represented the very best of what humanity had to offer. Lysera, standing beside Ethan, looked at each of them with a calm, knowing gaze. This trial will not be easy, she said, her voice steady. But I believe in you. I believe in humanity. Ethan nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He had seen the data, he had heard the challenges, but standing before these brave men and women, he realized how much was at stake. This was more than just a test of physical strength or intelligence. It was a test of humanity's heart. The trial was divided into 3 stages: survival, teamwork, and problem-solving. The first stage would take place in a dense, dangerous jungle on the planet Vokter. The second stage would involve navigating through an ancient labyrinthine city filled with obstacles and puzzles. And the final stage would test their ability to work together as a team to solve a complex, galaxy-spanning problem. As Ethan addressed the volunteers, he could feel the weight of the moment. This is not just about winning, he said, his voice firm. It's about showing the galaxy who we are, our strength, our determination, our willingness to help one another. That's what matters. That's what will prove humanity's place in the stars. The volunteers nodded, their faces set with determination. They knew what was at stake, and they were ready. But as they prepared to leave for the trial planet, doubts lingered in the back of their minds. Would they be able to meet the expectations of the galaxy? Could they truly prove that humanity was worthy of a place among the stars? As the team boarded their transport ships, Lysera approached Ethan once more. "Are you ready for what lies ahead?" she asked, her voice filled with quiet concern. Ethan turned to her, his expression serious. "We have no choice but to be ready. This is humanity's moment to shine. We can't afford to fail." Lysera smiled, her eyes shining with admiration. "I believe in you, Ethan. I've seen what you humans can do. You have a strength within you that no other species possesses. That's why I'm here, to help you show the galaxy what you're capable of." The transport ships took off, leaving Earth behind as they traveled toward the trial planet. The journey was long, and the crew spent most of their time preparing for the challenges ahead. Ethan could see the tension in the faces of the volunteers as they reviewed the maps, the challenges, and the strategies for each stage. But there was also something else, a sense of camaraderie, a sense that they were all in this together. As they neared the planet Voktar, the tension grew. The first stage would begin as soon as they landed. The dense jungle below was known for its dangerous wildlife and harsh conditions. It would be a true test of survival. The volunteers had been trained for weeks, but nothing could fully prepare them for what awaited on the surface. Ethan sat quietly, thinking about what Lysera had said. She had been the first to truly believe in humanity's potential. But as much as he wanted to prove the princess right, he knew that the galaxy's perception of humanity would be shaped by this trial. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about showing that humanity could endure, that they could overcome even the most insurmountable obstacles. The transport ships landed with a soft thud, and the volunteers quickly disembarked, gearing up for the challenge ahead. The dense jungle loomed before them, filled with thick vines and towering trees. Ethan's heart raced as he took a deep breath, preparing himself for what was to come. The trial had begun. The first stage of the trial had begun. The dense, wild jungle of Voktar stretched out before the human volunteers like an untamed world of shadows and whispers. The air was thick with humidity, and the constant buzz of alien insects filled the air. The volunteers, clad in sturdy gear, stood at the edge of the jungle, staring into the vast unknown. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a survival challenge. It was humanity's first real test in the eyes of the galaxy. The stakes were higher than anything they had faced before. If they couldn't conquer the jungle, could they conquer the other stages of the trial? And if they couldn't prove themselves here, what would that mean for humanity's future in the galaxy? Lysera, who had come along to observe, stood at the edge of the group, her eyes focused. She had seen many trials in her lifetime, but something about this one felt different. She had always believed in the potential of humanity, but now she was watching them prove it for themselves. Ethan and his team had to endure not only the jungle but the eyes of the galaxy upon them. "This is it," Ethan said, his voice low but firm as he looked over the team. "We stick together, we watch each other's backs, and we make it through. We've trained for this moment." The team nodded in agreement. Each volunteer had different strengths. There was Nadia, a former soldier with quick reflexes and strong instincts. Then there was Jacob, an engineer who was good with tools and had an uncanny ability to fix anything. Lisa, a medical doctor, was ready to help anyone who got injured. And Ethan, though a scientist by profession, had a deep understanding of survival tactics after months of preparation. As they entered the jungle, the thick vines and towering trees quickly closed in around them, blocking out most of the sunlight. The air was stifling, and the ground was covered in slippery moss and mud. The first few steps were easy enough, but soon the group was forced to navigate through dense thickets and thorny bushes. The jungle wasn't quiet. Strange sounds echoed all around them, alien creatures calling to each other from high in the trees, rustling in the undergrowth, and the occasional roar that sent a shiver down their spines. Every member of the team knew that danger could strike at any moment. The jungle was wild, unpredictable, and unforgiving. "We need to find shelter for the night," Nadia said, scanning their surroundings. "We can't risk traveling after dark." "The creatures here come out at night," Ethan agreed. "We'll find a place to set up camp. We can rest, get our bearings, and plan our next move in the morning." The group worked together to find a safe spot, a small clearing nestled between towering trees. Nadia and Jacob quickly got to work, building a makeshift shelter while Lisa checked over everyone's equipment. The sounds of the jungle grew louder as night began to fall, and the temperature dropped. Ethan stood watch, feeling the weight of the silence that had settled around them. The jungle, though alive with sound, was strangely still now that they had made camp. It was as if the jungle itself was waiting, watching them. He thought about what Lysara had said, about humanity's spirit. Was this what she meant? This quiet determination to overcome the impossible. As he pondered, a sharp cry pierced the air, a sound unlike anything they had heard before. It was followed by the rustling of leaves and a sudden movement in the trees. The group sprang into action, reaching for their weapons and tools. "Stay calm," Nadia said, her voice steady as she crouched low. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." Ethan's heart raced, but he kept his composure. He was a scientist, not a soldier, but in that moment, he understood what it meant to protect the group. They were more than just individuals. They were a team. And that meant something. The sound came closer, and then they saw it, an enormous reptilian creature, its scales glinting in the moonlight. It was moving swiftly through the trees, and its glowing eyes locked onto the group. The creature was large, far too large for any one person to take on alone. "Get ready," Jacob shouted, his voice steady despite the danger. "We need to distract it, not fight it head-on." The team quickly moved into action. Nadia fired a flare into the sky to distract the creature, while Lisa used her medical knowledge to prepare a calming herb from their supply that could potentially slow the creature down. Ethan, though nervous, focused on keeping the team together and making sure everyone was safe. The creature hesitated for a moment, unsure of the flare. In that split second, Jacob used his engineering skills to rig a trap. Nothing lethal, but enough to slow the creature down. The team worked together flawlessly, with each member using their skills to contribute. Finally, after a tense few minutes, the creature backed away, retreating into the jungle. Breathing heavily, the team collapsed in relief. They had survived their first test. "That was too close," Nadia said, wiping sweat from her brow. "We did it," Ethan replied, feeling a surge of pride in his chest. "We worked together, and we made it through. That's what matters." Lysara watched from a distance, her heart swelling with pride for the humans. She had always known they had potential, but seeing them work as a team, seeing them push through their fear and uncertainty, made her belief in them even stronger. Ethan turned to her, a smile breaking through his exhaustion. "We're just getting started," he said. "This is only the first test. We're not done yet." Lysara smiled, her eyes filled with admiration. "I knew you could do it, Ethan. You and your people have proven something important today. The galaxy is watching, and they're starting to see what I've seen." The team rested for the night, but their journey was far from over. The jungle was only the first challenge, and the next stage would be even more difficult. But if there was one thing that was certain now, it was that humanity had the heart, the will, and the spirit to face whatever came next. The dense jungle of Voktur was behind them, and humanity's team had passed their first trial with flying colors. But their journey was far from over. The next stage of the trial awaited them, and the pressure was building. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humanity's resilience, adaptability, and teamwork could carry them through the next challenge. After a brief rest, the team boarded their transport ships once more, this time heading toward the ancient city of Zira. The city, long abandoned, was filled with winding corridors, crumbling structures, and mysterious puzzles, left behind by a long-lost civilization. It was said to be full of traps and riddles, designed to test the intellect and strategy of any who dared to enter. The second stage of the trial would require all of the team's combined skills: brainpower, bravery, and creativity. As they landed in the city's outskirts, the crew was struck by the eerie silence. The ancient buildings loomed like silent sentinels, their stone walls weathered by time. The air was dry, and the ground beneath their feet was cracked and uneven. It was clear that the city had not been touched by any living being for centuries. "This place is unsettling," Jacob muttered, looking around nervously. "I don't like it." "We've trained for this," Ethan said, trying to keep his own anxiety in check. "We'll take it one step at a time." The team moved forward, cautiously entering the city. It was clear that the challenge would be mentally taxing. The first obstacle they encountered was a massive stone door that blocked their path. The door had no obvious handles and no visible way to open it. Instead, it was covered in ancient symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "This is it," Nadia said. "This is the first puzzle. We need to figure it out." Ethan studied the symbols closely, his mind racing. They didn't look like anything he had seen before. It wasn't a language he recognized, but there was something familiar about it. He reached out, touching the surface of the door. As his fingers brushed the stone, the symbols shifted, rearranging themselves before his eyes. "It's some kind of code," Ethan murmured. "I think I can break it. Give me a moment." While Ethan worked, Lisa kept an eye on their surroundings. The city felt alive in a strange way, as if the stones themselves were watching. She could almost hear the faint sounds of ancient whispers in the air. It was as if the city had a life of its own, and it was waiting for them to solve its secrets. Jacob paced nervously, his mind racing. "How long are we supposed to take on these puzzles? The clock's ticking, and I don't like feeling trapped." "Stay calm," Nadia said. "We've dealt with worse. Ethan's smart. He'll crack the code." Ethan's fingers moved quickly, pressing and tracing the glowing symbols. After a few tense moments, a soft click echoed through the air. The massive stone door slowly began to slide open, revealing a dark corridor beyond. "Got it," Ethan said with a relieved smile. "Let's move. We don't know what's waiting for us." The team entered the dark passage, each of them wary of what lay ahead. As they moved deeper into the city, the air grew colder, and the walls became narrower. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and a series of mechanical doors slammed shut behind them. They were trapped. "Great," Jacob said, frustration in his voice. "What now?" Ethan studied their surroundings, his mind racing. "It's another puzzle. The walls are lined with buttons and switches. We need to figure out which combination will unlock the next door." The team sprang into action, working together to solve the puzzle. It wasn't easy. There were countless possible combinations, and the time was running out. As they tried different switches, the walls began to close in, and the pressure was mounting. It felt like the ancient city was testing them, pushing them to their limits. Nadia wiped the sweat from her brow. "We're running out of time. Think. Lisa looked closely at the walls, spotting a faint pattern hidden beneath the dust. "Wait a minute," she said, pointing to a series of symbols that seemed to align with the puzzle they had solved earlier. "This matches the code we found on the door. I think it's the same pattern." Ethan's eyes lit up. "You're right. That's the clue. If we press the buttons in the right order, it should unlock the door." The team quickly worked together, pressing the buttons in the correct sequence. The walls stopped moving, and the sound of grinding stone echoed as the door opened once more, allowing them to move forward. The next few hours were a blur of puzzles, traps, and challenges, but the team worked together flawlessly, using their unique skills to tackle each problem head-on. The puzzles weren't just tests of intelligence. They were tests of trust, teamwork, and perseverance. As they approached the final chamber, they knew they were almost there. The last obstacle loomed before them, a massive door, even larger than the first. This time, however, there was no puzzle to solve. The door was simply locked, with a keyhole that appeared to be the only way through. "This is it," Ethan said, breathing heavily. "This is the final test." Lysura, who had accompanied them from a distance, approached, her eyes full of admiration. "You've done it," she said. "You've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Ethan smiled. "We're not finished yet." As the team searched for the key, they realized that the final challenge was one of their own making. It wasn't about intelligence or strength. It was about understanding that the greatest key of all was the one that united them. Together, they solved the last puzzle, not with knowledge or force, but with the spirit that had carried them through the trial, their unity. The massive door swung open, and the team stepped into the final chamber. They had done it. Humanity had passed the test.